Hello, and welcome to the channel, where we explore the world of knowledge one gentle breath at a time. Tonight, we're embarking on a remarkable journey through Bill Bryson's masterpiece, A Short History of Nearly Everything. It's a book that dares to ask the biggest questions of all. How did we get here? What is this universe we find ourselves floating in? And perhaps most wonderfully, what are the chances that any of us exist at all? As you settle into your favourite listening position, let these thoughts wash over you like a warm tide. There's something deeply comforting about understanding our place in the grand story of existence, even if that place is unimaginably small and fleeting. Bryson spent 3 years researching this work, consulting over 100 experts, reading hundreds of books, all to answer the questions that keep curious minds awake at night. Tonight, his years of exploration can help guide you toward peaceful sleep, filled with wonder about the extraordinary universe that cradles us all. The beauty of Bryson's approach lies not in complex equations or intimidating scientific jargon, but in his ability to make the incomprehensible feel intimate and personal. He writes with the warmth of a favourite teacher, the one who made even the most challenging subjects feel like conversations by a fireplace. As we journey together through his discoveries, let yourself drift between attention and rest. There's no test tomorrow, no need to memorize facts or figures. Simply let the stories of science unfold around you like a gentle lullaby of cosmic proportions. What strikes me most about this book is how it transforms our understanding of ordinary existence into something miraculous. Every atom in your body, every breath you take, every thought drifting through your mind as you listen to these words carries within it a story billions of years in the making. The calcium in your bones was forged in the heart of an ancient star. The iron in your blood was created in a stellar explosion that lit up the cosmos long before our solar system existed. You are, quite literally, made of stardust, and tonight we'll explore exactly what that means. Bryson begins his exploration with perhaps the most mind-bending concept of all, scale. Not just the scale of the universe, though that's certainly part of it, but the scale of the very small as well. He invites us to imagine shrinking down, down, down until we reach the realm of atoms and subatomic particles. At this level, reality becomes almost dreamlike in its strangeness. A single proton is so unimaginably tiny that if you could somehow shrink it down to just a billionth of its normal size, that microscopic speck would still contain enough matter to birth an entire universe. Think about that for a moment as you feel your body relaxing into rest. The dot at the end of this sentence, if we could examine it closely enough, would reveal itself to contain approximately 500 billion protons. That's more than the number of seconds in 500,000 years. We carry entire universes of complexity within the smallest details of our existence, invisible worlds of activity humming along as we sleep and dream. This perspective shift that Bryson offers is profoundly calming in its own way. When we truly grasp the scale of what surrounds us, our daily worries begin to find their proper proportion. The universe, as Bryson reveals it, is not a cold, empty void, but a rich tapestry of interconnected stories, each thread as important as any other, including the thread of your own brief but beautiful existence. The story of how we came to understand these scales is itself a tale of human persistence and curiosity. For centuries we lived on Earth, without truly knowing where we were or what we were standing on. The ancient Greeks had brilliant insights, calculating the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy, using nothing but shadows and geometry. Yet for most of human history, we moved through our days unaware of the cosmic dance we were part of. Bryson introduces us to the remarkable individuals who slowly, painstakingly built our modern understanding of the universe. Take Henry Cavendish, an 18th century scientist so shy he could barely speak to other people, yet so precise in his measurements that he managed to weigh the entire. Using delicate instruments in his home laboratory, Cavendish determined that our planet weighs over 6 billion trillion metric tons. Modern scientists, with all their sophisticated equipment, have improved on his calculation by only about 1%. There's something beautifully human about these stories of discovery. Science, as Bryson presents it, isn't the work of distant geniuses in ivory towers, but the accumulated efforts of curious, often eccentric individuals driven by wonder. Some were wealthy amateurs who collected rocks as a hobby. Others were professional researchers who spent decades pursuing single questions. Many made crucial discoveries almost by accident, while looking for something else entirely. The development of our understanding mirrors the way we individually come to know the world. As children, we start with simple observations about what we can see and touch. Gradually, through experience and learning, we build more complex pictures of reality. Humanity's scientific journey follows a similar path, from early observations of the stars to our current sophisticated models of cosmic evolution. One of the most fascinating aspects of Bryson's narrative is how he reveals the universe as a place where incredibly unlikely events happen routinely. The formation of our solar system required a precise balance of conditions that seems almost impossibly fortunate. Earth needed to form at just the right distance from the Sun, with just the right mix of elements, at just the right time in cosmic history. Too close to our star, and water would boil away into space. Too far, and everything would freeze solid. Too early in the universe's development, and there wouldn't have been enough heavy elements to form rocky planets. Too late, and our sun might never have ignited. Yet here we are, living proof that the impossible happens. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider this remarkable chain of fortune. Not one of your ancestors, stretching back through billions of years of evolution, failed to survive long enough to reproduce. Not one was caught by a predator, struck by disease, or overcome by catastrophe before passing on their genetic heritage. The unbroken chain that leads to your existence represents a sequence of survival so unlikely that statisticians would call it impossible, yet so obviously real that you can feel your heart beating as proof. This perspective transforms the way we think about existence itself. We often take our presence in the universe for granted, as if consciousness and life were inevitable outcomes of natural processes. Bryson gently corrects this assumption, revealing life as an extraordinary exception in a cosmos that seems largely indifferent to biological flourishing. The vast majority of the universe consists of empty space, punctuated by nuclear furnaces we call stars. Planets are rare. Planets with the right conditions for life are rarer still. Planets where life not only emerges but develops into conscious beings, capable of contemplating their own existence. Such worlds may be so uncommon that we have never encountered another example. This rarity makes our moment of awareness precious beyond calculation. The atoms that form your body will outlive you by billions of years, but they will never again be arranged in exactly the same pattern that creates your unique perspective on reality. You're a temporary arrangement of ancient materials that has somehow achieved the remarkable feat of being able to think about itself. In the grand scope of cosmic time, your consciousness is just a brief flicker, yet it's a flicker bright enough to illuminate the darkness and ask questions about the nature of everything. The early chapters of Bryson's journey focus on helping us comprehend these vast scales of space and time. He describes how astronomers gradually realized that what they initially thought were nearby clouds of gas were actually entire galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. Our own Milky Way, which seemed like the entirety of creation to earlier generations, revealed itself to be just one galaxy, among hundreds of billions of others scattered across observable space. When we look up at the night sky, we're seeing history written in light. The star patterns that guided ancient navigators are composed of light that left its sources years, decades, or centuries ago. Some of the stars we observe tonight may have already burned out, their final moments still travelling toward us through the cosmic dark. We live in a universe where the present moment is always mixed with echoes from the past, where distance and time interweave in ways that challenge our everyday understanding of reality. This temporal complexity extends to our understanding of Earth itself. The ground beneath your feet, solid and stable as it feels, tells a story of incredible change and movement stretched across deep time. The rocks that form our planet's crust have been recycled countless times, through processes of melting, cooling, compression, and erosion. Mountains have risen and been worn away, oceans have filled and emptied, continents have drifted across the globe like massive rafts carrying their cargo of life from one climate to another. Human civilization, which feels so permanent and established to us, represents the tiniest fraction of Earth's biography. If we compressed our planet's entire history into a single year, complex life would appear only in late November. Dinosaurs would rule through most of December. Human beings would arrive in the final minutes before midnight on New Year's Eve. All of recorded history would fit into the last few seconds of that cosmic year. Yet within those final seconds, something unprecedented has occurred. Life has become aware of itself and begun to investigate its own origins. Through careful observation and patient reasoning, we've managed to trace our story back to the very beginning, to understand our place in the cosmic timeline, and to recognize both our profound insignificance and our remarkable uniqueness. We are the universe's way of knowing itself, temporary arrangements of matter complex enough to contemplate the mystery of existence. As you feel sleep approaching, let yourself rest in this knowledge. You're part of something immeasurably vast and ancient, yet your presence makes a difference that extends beyond measurement. Tomorrow's dreams may carry echoes of tonight's journey through deep time and infinite space. The story of how we began to truly see our universe unfolds like a gradual awakening from a long dream. For most of human existence, we lived beneath the stars without understanding what they were, or how far away they lay scattered across the darkness. We invented mythologies to explain the patterns overhead, weaving stories of heroes and monsters among the constellations. These tales served us well, providing meaning and navigation, but they also kept us from recognizing the far more extraordinary reality that patient observation would eventually reveal. It wasn't until relatively recently that we discovered the true nature of our cosmic neighborhood. What appeared to be a modest collection of nearby lights turned out to be a galaxy containing more stars than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of Earth. And that galaxy, vast as it seemed, proved to be just one of countless others drifting through space like islands in an infinite ocean. Bryson guides us through the gentle revelation of these discoveries, showing how each breakthrough built upon previous insights, like stepping stones across a river of ignorance toward understanding. The process required not just brilliant individual minds, but centuries of accumulated patience, careful measurement, and willingness to accept conclusions that challenged everything our ancestors believed about our place in creation. Consider the work of those early astronomers who spent entire lifetimes cataloguing star positions, measuring tiny shifts in celestial mechanics, calculating distances to objects so remote that light itself takes years to bridge the gap. They worked with instruments that seem primitive by today's standards, yet their dedication produced insights that fundamentally changed how we see ourselves. Edwin Hubble, peering through his telescope night after night, gradually realized that the universe itself was expanding, carrying galaxies away from each other like raisins in rising bread dough. This discovery transformed our understanding of time itself. If everything was moving apart now, then looking backward through history meant everything was once closer together. Follow that logic to its conclusion, and you arrive at a moment when all the matter and energy in the universe occupied a space smaller than the period at the end of this sentence. From that unimaginably dense beginning, everything we know emerged in the first few moments of cosmic time. The mathematics of this emergence stretch the mind in wonderful ways. In those initial fractions of a second after time began, the universe expanded faster than light, faster than thought, creating the fundamental structure that would eventually become galaxies, stars, planets, and ultimately the quiet moment you're experiencing right now as these words reach your consciousness. The cosmic background radiation that fills all of space carries within it the faint echo of that primordial expansion, a whisper from the universe's infancy that we can still detect with sensitive instruments. What strikes me as particularly soothing about this cosmic perspective is how it places our daily experiences within a context of such magnificent scope that ordinary concerns naturally find their proper proportions. The stress of tomorrow's responsibilities, the weight of past mistakes, the uncertainty about future plans, all of these very human preoccupations exist within a universe so vast and patient that it makes room for every possible experience while remaining fundamentally stable and trustworthy. The elements that compose your body tell their own remarkable stories of cosmic wandering. The carbon in your cells was forged in the nuclear furnace of a star that lived and died before our solar system existed. That ancient star gathered hydrogen from the primordial cosmos, compressed it under unimaginable pressures and temperatures, and through nuclear alchemy transformed simple elements into the complex building blocks of life. When that star exhausted its fuel and exploded in a supernova, it scattered its newly created elements across space, seeding future generations of stars and planets with the materials necessary for complexity. The iron flowing through your bloodstream right now carries within its atomic structure the memory of stellar collapse and rebirth. The calcium strengthening your bones remembers the interior of dying stars. Even the water that makes up most of your body combines hydrogen from the universe's earliest moments with oxygen created in stellar cores billions of years ago. You are not separate from the cosmos, but intimately woven into its ongoing story of transformation and becoming. This understanding brings with it a profound sense of belonging. We sometimes feel isolated in our individual experiences, cut off from the larger currents of existence. But science reveals the deep connections that link every particle of our being to the grandest processes of cosmic evolution. The same physical laws that govern the behavior of distant galaxies also orchestrate the dance of molecules within your cells. The energy that powers your thoughts originated in nuclear reactions at the heart of our sun. The rhythm of your breathing participates in the ancient cycle that connects all living things to the atmosphere and oceans of our shared planet. Bryson excels at revealing these connections without overwhelming us with technical complexity. He understands that wonder emerges not from memorizing formulas, but from grasping the essential relationships that bind everything together. His approach reminds me of sitting with a wise friend who has spent years contemplating the mystery of existence and wants to share the most beautiful insights without burdening you with unnecessary details. The development of life on Earth represents another chapter in this cosmic story that seems almost too remarkable to be true. For billions of years after our planet formed, it remained a hostile place where no complex organism could survive. The atmosphere lacked oxygen. The surface was bombarded by asteroids and comets. Volcanic activity constantly reshaped the landscape. Yet somehow, in this seemingly impossible environment, the first stirrings of life began. Those earliest organisms were unimaginably simple by our standards, yet they accomplished something that no purely physical or chemical process had ever achieved. They began to reproduce themselves, creating copies that carried forward the patterns of their organization while allowing for small variations that could be tested against environmental challenges. This innovation, reproduction with modification, became the engine that would eventually drive the emergence of every living thing we know. The story of evolution that follows reads like the most ambitious novel ever written, with plot lines stretching across geological ages and characters ranging from microscopic bacteria to massive dinosaurs to the conscious beings we've become. Each chapter builds upon previous developments, yet introduces unexpected innovations that change the entire direction of the narrative. Mass extinctions serve as dramatic turning points where the story could have ended, but instead opened up new possibilities for life to explore. What makes this evolutionary epic particularly fascinating is how it demonstrates the power of small, gradual changes accumulated over vast periods of time. The transformation from simple cells to complex organisms didn't happen overnight, but through countless generations of tiny modifications, each tested against the challenges of survival and reproduction. The eye, which seems so perfectly designed for vision, actually represents the endpoint of millions of years of gradual improvement, from simple light-sensitive patches to the sophisticated optical instruments we use to read these words. This gradual nature of change offers its own form of comfort. The universe operates not through sudden, chaotic transformations, but through patient processes that unfold over scales of time that dwarf human experience. Mountains rise grain by grain, species adapt through countless generations. Even the most dramatic events in Earth's history, like the collision that likely ended the age of dinosaurs, represent single moments in stories that span millions of centuries. Understanding this temporal perspective can bring peace to our often hurried human experience. We live in a universe that has been developing for nearly 14 billion years and will likely continue evolving for trillions more. Our individual lives, precious as they are, participate in processes so much larger than ourselves that we can trust in their fundamental stability, even when our personal circumstances feel uncertain or turbulent. The emergence of consciousness represents perhaps the most mysterious chapter in this cosmic story. Somehow, over the course of evolutionary time, matter organized itself into patterns complex enough to become aware of their own existence. The same atoms that once drifted through empty space now contemplate the nature of space itself. The same energy that once powered only simple chemical reactions now generates thoughts, emotions, dreams, and the capacity to appreciate beauty and meaning. Bryson approaches this mystery with appropriate humility, acknowledging that we still don't fully understand how consciousness emerges from purely physical processes. Yet he also celebrates the remarkable fact that it has emerged, transforming the universe from a collection of unconscious matter and energy into something capable of wonder, creativity, and love. As you settle deeper into rest tonight, let yourself appreciate the extraordinary privilege of being conscious in such a universe. Your awareness, however brief in cosmic terms, represents billions of years of development reaching a moment of perfect clarity. Through your consciousness, the universe becomes capable of knowing and appreciating itself. In your thoughts and dreams, matter achieves its highest expression, transcending mere physical existence to touch something approaching the infinite. The gentle rhythm of your breathing connects you to the atmosphere that has nurtured life for billions of years. The beating of your heart echoes rhythms established in the earliest living cells. The electrical activity of your brain participates in patterns of information processing that link you to every other conscious being who's ever wondered about their place in the grand story of existence. Tomorrow will bring new chapters in your personal story, but tonight you can rest in the knowledge that you are held by processes far larger and more enduring than any temporary concern. The same forces that guide the motion of planets and the burning of stars also sustain the delicate miracle of your existence, moment by moment, breath by breath, thought by thought. The beauty of Bryson's exploration becomes even more profound when we consider how the story of discovery itself mirrors the gradual awakening of consciousness. Just as life slowly emerged from simple chemical processes, human understanding has grown from basic observations into sophisticated models of reality that would seem like magic to our ancestors. Each generation builds upon the insights of those who came before, creating an intellectual legacy that spans centuries and connects minds across time. Think about the patient dedication required to map our cosmic address. Early navigators used the stars to find their way across oceans, never imagining that those same points of light were actually distant suns, many far larger and more luminous than our own. The process of recognizing this truth required centuries of careful observation, mathematical analysis, and the gradual development of instruments sensitive enough to detect the subtle signals that reveal cosmic distances. One of the most touching aspects of this scientific journey is how it demonstrates the power of human curiosity to transcend individual limitations. No single person could have discovered everything we now know about the universe. Instead, knowledge accumulated through the collaborative efforts of countless individuals, each contributing a small piece to an ever-growing puzzle. A monk in medieval Europe cataloguing star positions, a mathematician in ancient Greece calculating planetary orbits, a telescope maker in 17th century Holland grinding lenses with unprecedented precision, all participated in the same grand project of understanding. This collaborative nature of discovery offers its own gentle wisdom for how we might approach our personal growth and understanding. We don't need to figure everything out alone. The insights that guide us forward often come from unexpected sources, building upon foundations laid by others who walked similar paths before us. Like scientists sharing their findings across generations, we can learn from the experiences and wisdom of those around us, creating communities of mutual support and shared exploration. Bryson excels at revealing how scientific breakthroughs often emerge from what initially appear to be mundane observations. The realization that our galaxy was just one among billions began with careful measurements of fuzzy patches in the night sky that astronomers initially dismissed as nearby clouds of gas. The discovery that the universe was expanding came from analysing the subtle colour shifts in light from distant objects. The evidence for continental drift was found in the matching fossils and rock formations on opposite sides of oceans. These patterns remind us that profound truths often hide within the ordinary details of daily experience. The same attention to subtle patterns that revealed cosmic mysteries might help us recognize important developments in our own lives. Changes in relationships, shifts in our interests and values, the gradual evolution of our understanding and priorities all unfold through small signals that become significant only when viewed with patience and care. The development of our understanding of deep time represents one of the most revolutionary shifts in human perspective. For most of history, people imagined that the world had existed for only a few thousand years. The discovery that Earth's history stretched across billions of years required a fundamental reimagining of our place in the flow of time. Suddenly, human civilization became a recent development in an ancient story, and individual lives took on a different quality when viewed against such a vast temporal backdrop. This expanded sense of time brings with it both humility and liberation. Our problems, however pressing they may feel in the moment, exist within a context so much larger than immediate circumstances that perspective naturally shifts toward what truly matters in the long run. The mountains we see on the horizon have been shaped by processes operating across millions of years. The rivers that water our valleys have carved their paths through countless seasons of rain and drought. Even the soil beneath our feet represents the accumulated result of countless cycles of growth, decay, and renewal. Yet within this immense temporal framework, each moment retains its own precious quality. The fact that your consciousness exists at all, given the astronomical odds against it, makes every experience uniquely valuable. The thoughts drifting through your mind as you listen to these words will never be exactly repeated. The particular combination of circumstances that creates this moment of peaceful attention to cosmic mysteries represents a convergence of probabilities so unlikely that mathematicians would consider it essentially impossible. Bryson's approach to explaining the emergence of complexity from simplicity offers profound insights into how change occurs in all aspects of existence. The same principles that govern the formation of stars from cosmic dust, the development of complex organisms from simple cells, and the emergence of consciousness from neural networks also shape the ways our personal understanding and capabilities develop over time. Small, consistent changes accumulating over extended periods can produce transformations that seem miraculous when viewed from a distance. The gradual shift from reading individual words to understanding complete sentences, from recognizing isolated facts to seeing patterns and connections, from reacting to circumstances to consciously choosing responses, all follow similar dynamics of incremental development, building toward qualitative breakthroughs. This understanding can bring patience to our own processes of growth and learning. Just as the universe didn't spring into its current form overnight, our personal development unfolds through countless small steps, each building upon previous progress in ways that may not be immediately apparent. The frustration we sometimes feel with the pace of change in our lives finds perspective when placed alongside the patient timescales through which cosmic evolution operates. The story of how life found ways to thrive in seemingly impossible environments speaks to the remarkable resilience and creativity inherent in natural processes. From bacteria thriving in boiling hot springs to organisms surviving in the crushing depths of ocean trenches, life has demonstrated an extraordinary to adapt to challenges that would seem insurmountable. These examples remind us that apparent limitations often conceal hidden opportunities for growth and innovation. Consider how the development of photosynthesis transformed what had been a toxic environment into one capable of supporting complex life. Early organisms learned to harness the energy of sunlight, converting carbon dioxide and water into the sugars that fuel biological processes. As a byproduct, they released oxygen into the atmosphere, fundamentally altering the chemistry of our planet and creating the conditions necessary for the emergence of more sophisticated forms of life. This transformation illustrates a principle that applies far beyond biology. What initially appears as a problem or limitation can sometimes become the foundation for entirely new possibilities. The constraints we encounter in our personal and professional lives, rather than simply obstacles to overcome, might represent invitations to develop new capabilities or discover innovative approaches we wouldn't have considered otherwise. The interconnectedness that Bryson reveals throughout natural systems offers a beautiful metaphor for understanding our own relationships and responsibilities. The carbon cycle that connects the atmosphere to living organisms and back again demonstrates how individual actions participate in larger patterns that affect the whole system. The water cycle that moves moisture from oceans to clouds to rain to rivers to groundwater shows how local events contribute to global processes that sustain all life. These natural examples suggest ways we might think about our own participation in the communities and ecosystems we inhabit. Our choices and actions, however small they may seem individually, contribute to larger patterns that shape the environments we share with others. The kindness we show to a neighbour, the care we take in our work, the attention we pay to learning and growth, all participate in networks of influence that extend far beyond what we can directly observe. The emergence of scientific understanding itself represents one of the most remarkable developments in the story Bryson tells. The same evolutionary processes that produced eyes capable of seeing light, ears capable of hearing sound, and brains capable of processing information, eventually gave rise to minds capable of understanding their own origins and investigating the fundamental nature of reality. This reflexive quality of consciousness, the ability of the universe to know itself through conscious beings, adds a profound dimension to our existence. We are not merely products of cosmic evolution, but active participants in the ongoing process of discovery and understanding. Through our curiosity and investigation, the universe becomes capable of appreciating its own beauty and complexity. As you feel yourself settling deeper into the peaceful rhythms of approaching sleep, let yourself rest in this knowledge of connection and belonging. The same processes that formed the stars and planets, that guided the development of life through billions of years of evolution, that created the capacity for consciousness and wonder, continue to operate in this very moment, sustaining the quiet miracle of your existence. Your breathing participates in cycles that connect you to every other living thing on Earth. Your heartbeat echoes rhythms established in the earlier cells. Your thoughts arise from the same fundamental processes that govern the behavior of atoms and galaxies. You're not separate from the cosmos, but intimately woven into its ongoing story of development and discovery. The questions that Bryson explores with such gentle thoroughness, the mysteries of origin and development and meaning, continue to unfold through conscious beings like yourself who wonder about their place in the grand story of existence. Through your awareness and curiosity, the universe achieves one of its highest expressions, transcending mere matter and energy to touch something approaching the infinite. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities to participate in this ongoing exploration, but tonight you can rest in the knowledge that you are held by processes far larger and more enduring than any temporary concern. The same forces that guide the motion of planets and the burning of stars also sustain the delicate miracle of your consciousness, moment by moment, breath by breath, thought by thought, dream by dream. The journey through Bryson's masterpiece reveals something profound about the nature of understanding itself. When we trace the development of scientific knowledge, we see a pattern that mirrors the way wisdom accumulates in our own lives. Early lates in insights provide foundation stones upon which more sophisticated understanding can be built. Each generation of thinkers inherits the discoveries of those who came before, then adds their own contributions to the growing edifice of human knowledge. This process of intellectual inheritance offers a deeply comforting perspective on learning and growth. We don't have to start from scratch in our quest for understanding. The hard-won insights of countless previous explorers are available to guide our journey. When we feel overwhelmed by the complexity of existence or uncertain about our ability to comprehend life's deeper meanings, we can remember that understanding develops gradually, through patient accumulation of small insights rather than sudden flashes of complete revelation. Bryson demonstrates this principle beautifully in his account of how we came to understand Earth's age. For centuries, people assumed our planet was relatively young, perhaps only a few thousand years old. This assumption shaped everything from religious doctrine to scientific theory. The discovery that Earth was actually billions of years old required not just new evidence, but a complete restructuring of how humans thought about time, change, and their place in the cosmic story. The key breakthrough came through the development of radiometric dating, a technique that reads the natural clocks built into certain types of rocks. Uranium atoms decay into lead at a predictable rate, creating a timepiece that can measure spans far beyond human experience. By comparing the ratios of uranium to lead in ancient rocks, scientists could calculate ages that stretched human imagination to its limits. This discovery transformed our understanding of change itself. Processes that seemed impossibly slow in human terms revealed themselves as the primary engines of planetary transformation. Mountains that appeared eternal were revealed to be temporary features, rising and falling through cycles measured in millions of years. Ocean basins that seemed permanent showed evidence of constant motion, expanding in some places while contracting in others. The recognition of deep time brought with it a new appreciation for the power of gradual change. Forces that seem negligible over days or years can reshape entire continents when allowed to operate across geological timescales. A river cutting through rock grain by grain eventually carves the Grand Canyon. Wind and weather slowly wearing away mountains eventually creates the sediments that form new coastal plains. This perspective on the transformative power of small, persistent forces offers profound insights for understanding change in our own lives. The habits we develop through daily repetition, the skills we build through consistent practice, the relationships we nurture through regular attention, all demonstrate the same principles that shape landscapes and guide evolution. Tiny actions, repeated over time, can produce results that seem miraculous when viewed from a distance. The story of continental drift provides another beautiful example of how scientific understanding evolves through patient observation and creative thinking. When Alfred Wegener first proposed that continents moved across Earth's surface, the idea seemed absurd to most scientists. The continents appeared far too massive to move, and no known force seemed powerful enough to push them around the globe. Yet Wegener had noticed intriguing patterns that demanded explanation. Fossils of identical species appeared on opposite sides of oceans. Rock formations matched perfectly across vast distances of open water. The shapes of continents seemed to fit together like pieces of a giant puzzle. These observations suggested connections that conventional geology couldn't explain. The resolution came through the discovery of plate tectonics, the recognition that Earth's surface consists of massive plates floating on a layer of molten rock. These plates move slowly but constantly, carrying continents along like passengers on incredibly slow-moving trains. What had seemed impossible from the perspective of solid, stable ground revealed itself as inevitable once the underlying mechanisms were understood. This pattern of apparent impossibility giving way to elegant explanation appears throughout the history of scientific discovery. Ideas that initially seem to violate common sense often point toward deeper truths about the nature of reality. The willingness to entertain seemingly absurd possibilities, to follow evidence even when it leads toward uncomfortable conclusions, becomes essential for genuine understanding. The same openness to unexpected possibilities can enrich our personal growth and learning. When we encounter ideas that challenge our existing beliefs or push the boundaries of what we thought possible, the natural response is often skepticism or resistance. Yet these moments of cognitive discomfort frequently signal opportunities for significant expansion of understanding. Bryson's exploration of the emergence of life reveals another dimension of this cosmic story that feels particularly relevant to our daily experience. The transition from non-living matter to the first simple organisms represents one of the most mysterious developments in natural history. Despite decades of research, scientists still don't fully understand how this crucial transformation occurred. What we do know is that life, once established, demonstrated remarkable persistence and creativity in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. Early organisms survived in environments that would instantly destroy any modern life form. They adapted to changes in atmospheric composition, temperature, and chemistry that would represent catastrophic extinction events by today's standards. The resilience of life offers inspiration for navigating the challenges in our own experience. Just as organisms found ways to thrive in hostile environments, we can develop the flexibility and resourcefulness needed to flourish despite difficult circumstances. The same creative problem-solving that allowed life to survive mass extinctions and environmental upheavals can guide us through personal transitions and professional challenges. The development of complexity from simplicity represents another recurring theme throughout Bryson's narrative. Simple cells eventually gave rise to multicellular organisms. Basic sensory capabilities evolved into sophisticated nervous systems. Rudimentary social behaviors developed into complex cultures and civilizations. Each level of organization built upon previous achievements while introducing entirely new possibilities. This pattern of emergent complexity suggests that growth and development are fundamental features of natural systems. The universe seems to have a built-in tendency toward increasing sophistication and organization. From cosmic dust to planetary systems, from simple molecules to living cells, from individual organisms to cooperative societies, the direction of change consistently moves toward greater complexity and capability. Understanding this tendency can bring optimism to our personal and collective challenges. The problems we face today, however daunting they may seem, exist within a universe that has demonstrated remarkable creativity in finding solutions to apparently impossible puzzles. The same processes that transformed a hostile early Earth into a planet capable of supporting billions of species continue to operate in our time, offering resources for addressing contemporary difficulties. The story of photosynthesis illustrates this creative problem-solving beautifully. Early Earth's atmosphere contained almost no oxygen, making it impossible for complex life to develop. Yet some organisms evolved the ability to harness sunlight directly, using its energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into the sugars needed for growth. As a byproduct of this process, they released oxygen into the atmosphere, gradually transforming Earth's chemistry and creating conditions suitable for more sophisticated forms of life. This transformation required billions of years to complete, but were revolutionary in its effects. The oxygen-rich atmosphere that resulted made possible the development of more complex organisms with of larger, higher energy requirements. Eventually, this process led to the emergence of creatures capable of conscious thought and creative expression. The patience required for such transformation offers perspective on the timescales needed for significant change in our own lives and communities. The most meaningful developments often unfold slowly, through countless small adjustments rather than sudden dramatic shifts. Learning to work with these natural rhythms, rather than expecting immediate results, can bring peace to our efforts at personal growth and social improvement. Bryson's account of mass extinctions reveals another aspect of cosmic development that initially seems threatening, but ultimately demonstrates the resilience and adaptability of natural systems. Throughout Earth's history, catastrophic events have periodically eliminated large percentages of existing species. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, climate changes, and other disasters have repeatedly reset the biological clock, forcing life to begin again from whatever organisms managed to survive. Yet each of these apparent catastrophes opened up new evolutionary opportunities. The extinction of the dinosaurs, traumatic as it must have been for the creatures living at the time, created ecological niches that allowed mammals to diversify and eventually produce the lineage that led to human consciousness. What seemed like endings were actually beginnings in disguise. This pattern suggests a different way of thinking about the setbacks and disappointments we encounter in our personal journeys. Experiences that feel like failures or dead ends may actually be clearing space for developments we couldn't have imagined from our previous perspective. the career change that initially seems like a step backward might lead to work more aligned with our authentic interests and capabilities. The relationship that ends painfully might create room for connections based on deeper compatibility and mutual understanding. The development of human consciousness represents the most recent chapter in this ongoing story of complexity and capability. Somewhere in the process of evolution, matter organized itself into patterns sophisticated enough to become aware of their own existence. The same atoms that once drifted unconsciously through space now contemplate the nature of space itself. This emergence of self-awareness transformed the universe in fundamental ways. For the first time in cosmic history, matter became capable of understanding its own origins and investigating the principles that govern its behavior. Through conscious beings, the universe achieved the ability to know and appreciate itself. The responsibility that comes with this capability feels both humbling and inspiring. We are the universe's way of understanding itself, temporary arrangements of ancient materials that have achieved the remarkable capacity for wonder, creativity, and love. Our thoughts and discoveries, our art and literature, our scientific investigations and philosophical inquiries all represent the cosmos exploring its own nature through conscious agents. This perspective adds profound meaning to intellectual curiosity and creative expression. When we pursue understanding for its own sake, when we create beauty simply because it moves us, when we reach out to others with compassion and care, we participate in the universe's ongoing project of self-discovery and self-appreciation. The collaborative nature of human knowledge building mirrors the cooperative tendencies that appear throughout natural systems. Just as cells cooperate to form organisms and organisms form ecosystems, human beings create communities of shared learning and mutual support. The scientific insights that Bryson synthesizes represent the collective efforts of countless individuals across many generations, each contributing their unique perspective to a growing understanding of cosmic processes. This collaboration extends beyond formal scientific research to include all forms of human cultural development. The stories we tell, the music we create, the wisdom we share through conversation and example, all contribute to humanity's evolving understanding of what it means to be conscious beings in a vast and ancient universe. As you feel yourself settling deeper into the gentle rhythms of approaching sleep, let these ideas about collaboration and connection inform your dreams. The same processes that link atoms into molecules, molecules into cells, and cells into conscious beings also connect your individual awareness to the larger patterns of meaning and understanding that flow through human communities. Your curiosity about the nature of existence, your appreciation for beauty and wonder, your capacity for growth and learning, all participate in the universe's ongoing exploration of its own possibilities. Through your consciousness, matter transcends its purely physical nature to touch something approaching the infinite. The questions that fascinate us about origins and development, about meaning and purpose, continue to unfold through conscious beings who wonder about their place in the grand story of existence. Each insight we gain, each moment of understanding we achieve, adds to the collective wisdom that helps humanity navigate its role as the universe's self-aware agents. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities to participate in this ongoing exploration, but tonight you can rest in the knowledge that your very existence represents one of the cosmos's greatest achievements. The same forces that ignited the first stars, that guided the formation of planets, that nurtured the emergence of life through billions of years of patient development, continue to sustain the quiet miracle of your awareness. Your breathing connects you to atmospheric cycles that have sustained life for eons. Your heartbeat echoes rhythms established in the earliest living cells. Your capacity for thought and feeling represents the flowering of processes that began with the first stirrings of cosmic dust billions of years ago. In your dreams tonight, you carry forward the universe's story of growth and discovery. Through your consciousness, matter achieves its highest expression, transcending mere physical existence to create meaning, beauty, and understanding. Rest peacefully in this knowledge of connection and purpose, knowing that you are held by processes far larger and more enduring than any temporary concern. The remarkable thing about consciousness emerging in this vast cosmos is how it transforms the very nature of existence itself. When Bryson explores the development of awareness, he's really investigating one of the universe's most profound achievements. Matter, which had spent billions of years following predictable physical laws, suddenly developed the capacity to observe those very laws in operation. It's as if the universe had been writing its story in darkness and finally developed eyes to read what it had written. This transition from unconscious matter to aware beings didn't happen overnight. Development of nervous, of course. The systems represents millions of years of gradual refinement. Simple organisms developed basic responses to light and chemical signals. Over countless generations, these primitive sensing mechanisms grew more sophisticated, eventually producing brains capable of memory, learning, and abstract thought. What makes this progression particularly fascinating is how each stage built upon previous capabilities, while introducing entirely new possibilities. The same neural networks that initially evolved to help organisms find food and avoid predators eventually became capable of creating art, composing music, and contemplating the meaning of existence. The brain that guides you through your daily activities also enables you to appreciate beauty, form deep relationships, and wonder about your place in the cosmic story. The emergence of language represents another crucial development in this progression toward greater complexity and capability. When early humans began using symbols to represent ideas, they created a new form of inheritance that operated alongside genetic evolution. Knowledge could now be passed from one generation to the next through teaching and storytelling, rather than just through DNA. This cultural inheritance accelerated the pace of human development dramatically, allowing each generation to build upon the discoveries of their predecessors. The scientific revolution that Bryson chronicles so beautifully represents the flowering of this cultural inheritance system. The careful observations of ancient astronomers informed the theories of medieval scholars, which provided the foundation for Renaissance discoveries, which enabled Enlightenment insights, which continue to guide contemporary research. Each generation added its own contributions to a growing understanding that no individual could have achieved alone. This collaborative aspect of knowledge building offers profound insights for how we might approach learning in our own lives. The books we read, the conversations we have, the experiences we seek out, all participate in the same process of gradual understanding that has guided human development for thousands of years. We don't have to discover everything through personal trial and error. The accumulated wisdom of countless previous seekers is available to inform our journey. Consider how this applies to the practical challenges we face in daily life. The strategies for building meaningful relationships, creating satisfying work, maintaining physical health, and finding purpose and meaning have been explored by thoughtful people throughout history. While each person's circumstances are unique, the fundamental principles that guide human flourishing remain surprisingly consistent across cultures and centuries. The patience required for deep learning mirrors the timescales that govern natural processes. Just as mountains form through countless small geological events, and species evolve through numerous generational changes, genuine understanding develops through the accumulation of many individual insights. The frustration we sometimes feel with the pace of our own growth finds perspective when placed alongside these natural rhythms of development. Bryson's exploration of the interconnectedness that characterizes natural systems reveals another dimension of cosmic organization that feels particularly relevant to human experience. The carbon cycle that connects atmosphere to oceans to living organisms demonstrates how individual elements participate in larger patterns that sustain the water whole system. The cycle that moves moisture from place to place shows how local events contribute to global processes that affect every living thing. These natural examples suggest ways we might think about our own participation in the communities and ecosystems we inhabit. Our choices and actions, however small they may seem individually, contribute to larger patterns that shape the environments we share with others. The kindness we show to colleagues, the care we take in our work, the attention we pay to learning and growth, all participate in networks of influence, that extend far beyond what we can directly observe. The development of cooperation as a survival strategy represents one of evolution's most successful innovations. From the earliest cells that learned to work together to form multicellular organisms, to the complex social structures that characterize modern human societies, collaboration has proven to be one of the most effective approaches to thriving in challenging environments. This tendency toward cooperation offers hope for addressing the complex challenges we face as individuals and communities. The same principles that allow different species to form mutually beneficial relationships in natural ecosystems can guide us in creating human systems that support the flourishing of all participants. When we shift from thinking in terms of competition and scarcity to focusing on collaboration and shared abundance, we align ourselves with some of the most fundamental and successful strategies in the natural world. The story of how life learned to harness energy from its environment provides beautiful metaphors for understanding human potential and development. Photosynthesis represents one of the most elegant solutions to the challenge of sustainable existence. Rather than simply consuming available resources until they were exhausted, some organisms learn to tap directly into the constant stream of energy flowing from the sun. This innovation not just those transform individual organisms, but the entire planetary ecosystem. The oxygen released as a byproduct of photosynthesis changed Earth's atmospheric chemistry, creating conditions that allowed for the development of more complex forms of life. What began as a solution to one organism's energy needs eventually became the foundation for an entire biosphere. The principle of finding renewable sources of energy and inspiration applies beautifully to human development and creativity. Rather than relying solely on external validation or temporary sources of motivation, we can learn to tap into the deeper sources of meaning and purpose that sustain long-term growth and fulfillment. The satisfaction that comes from pursuing work aligned with our authentic interests, the energy generated by meaningful relationships, the renewal found in regular contact with beauty and wonder, all represent forms of sustainable fuel for human flourishing. The recognition that we are part of larger systems rather than isolated individuals brings both humility and empowerment. Our actions matter not just for their immediate effects on our personal circumstances, but for their contribution to the larger patterns that shape the world we share with others. This understanding can transform routine activities into opportunities for meaningful participation in something greater than ourselves. When we approach our daily work with awareness of how it contributes to the larger systems we're part of, even mundane tasks can take on deeper significance. The teacher who patiently explains a concept for the 100th time participates in the transmission of knowledge that has sustained human civilization for millennia. The parent who listens carefully to a child's concerns contributes to patterns of emotional development that will influence relationships for generations. The friend who offers support during difficult times strengthens the social bonds that make human communities resilient and nurturing. The mystery of consciousness emerging from purely physical processes remains one of the most profound puzzles in contemporary science. How does the electrical activity of neurons give rise to the rich inner experience of thoughts, emotions, and awareness? How does matter organized in certain patterns become capable of subjective experience, of feeling joy or sorrow, of appreciating beauty or contemplating meaning? While we may not fully understand the mechanisms involved, we can appreciate the extraordinary nature of what has occurred. The same fundamental particles that make up rocks and stars in empty space have somehow arranged themselves into patterns complex enough to read these words and contemplate their own existence. In your consciousness, the universe achieves something that seems to transcend the purely physical realm. This perspective adds profound meaning to every moment of aware experience. The thoughts drifting through your mind as you settle into sleep, the emotions that colour your response to daily events, the insights that emerge during quiet reflection, all represent the cosmos exploring its own possibilities through conscious agents. Your individual awareness contributes to the universe's ongoing project of self-discovery and self-appreciation. The collaborative nature of scientific discovery that Bryson celebrates throughout his work offers a model for how human consciousness can work together to understand and improve our shared existence. No single individual possesses all the knowledge needed to address the complex challenges we face, but the collective intelligence that emerges when minds work together in good faith can accomplish what seems impossible from any individual perspective. This principle applies not just to formal scientific research, but to all forms of human problem-solving and creative expression. The insights that guide successful relationships emerge from the accumulated wisdom of countless individuals who have navigated the challenges of human connection. The strategies that create thriving communities draw upon the experiences of people who have experimented with different approaches to social organization across cultures and centuries. The development of writing and later printing technology created new possibilities for this collaborative intelligence to operate across time as well as space. Ideas that originated in one century could inform thinking in another. Insights discovered in one culture could enrich understanding in distant societies. The conversation between minds that characterizes human intellectual development expanded to include voices from across the entire span of recorded history. Today's digital technologies have accelerated this process even further, creating unprecedented opportunities for minds to connect and collaborate across geographical and cultural boundaries. The same principles that guide successful scientific collaboration can inform how we use these tools to address personal and social challenges. When we approach online interactions with curiosity rather than judgment, when we seek to understand rather than simply to be understood, we participate in the expansion of collective human wisdom. The recognition that consciousness represents one of the universe's greatest achievements brings with it both privilege and responsibility. We've been given the extraordinary gift of awareness, the capacity to experience beauty and meaning, to form relationships based on love and understanding, to create works of art and literature that enrich human experience. This gift comes with the opportunity to use our consciousness in ways that contribute to the ongoing development of wisdom and compassion. The choices we make about how to direct our attention, what values to cultivate, how to treat others, all participate in shaping the kind of conscious beings we become and the kind of world we create together. When we choose kindness over indifference, curiosity over closed-mindedness, courage over fear, we align ourselves with the universe's apparent tendency toward greater complexity, capability, and beauty. As you feel yourself settling deeper into the peaceful rhythms that lead towards sleep, let these ideas about consciousness and collaboration inform your dreams. The same processes that connected simple cells into complex organisms, that linked individual minds into communities of shared learning, continue to operate through your own awareness and relationships. Your capacity for growth and understanding, your ability to appreciate beauty and create meaning, your potential for forming connections based on mutual care and respect, all represent the flowering of processes that began with the first stirrings of cosmic development billions of years ago. Through your consciousness, matter achieves its highest expression, transcending mere physical existence to create experiences of wonder, love, and understanding. The questions that fascinate human minds about purpose and meaning, about how to live well and contribute positively to the world, continue to unfold through conscious beings who care deeply about making their brief existence count for something worthwhile. Each insight you gain through reflection and experience, each relationship you nurture with patience and care, each moment of beauty you pause to appreciate, adds to the universe's growing understanding of its own possibilities. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities to participate in this ongoing exploration of what it means to be conscious beings in a vast and ancient cosmos. But tonight, you can rest in the knowledge that your very existence represents something miraculous, a temporary arrangement of stardust that has achieved the capacity for wonder, creativity, and love. Your breathing connects you to cycles that have sustained consciousness for thousands of years. Your heartbeat echoes rhythms that link you to every other aware being who has ever contemplated the mystery of existence. Your thoughts and dreams participate in the universe's continuing story of growth, discovery, and the patient development of wisdom and compassion. Rest peacefully in this understanding of your place in the cosmic story, knowing that you are held by processes far larger and more enduring than any temporary concern, yet intimately connected to the ongoing adventure of consciousness exploring its own infinite potential through countless individual expressions of awareness, curiosity, and care. The patterns of discovery that Bryson reveals throughout his exploration mirror something profound about how understanding develops in our own lives. When we trace the journey from Newton's insights about gravity to Einstein's revelations about the nature of space and time, we see how knowledge builds upon itself in ways that often surprise even the builders. Each generation of thinkers inherited certain assumptions about reality, then found themselves pushed beyond those boundaries by evidence that demanded new explanations. This progression reminds us that our current understanding, however solid it may feel, remains provisional and open to revision. The scientists who mapped the heavens with such precision in the 18th century had no idea they were laying groundwork for discoveries that would transform our understanding of time itself. The geologists who first recognized the antiquity of Earth couldn't have imagined their insights would lead to theories about continental drift and plate tectonics that revealed our planet as a dynamic, ever-changing system. There's something deeply comforting about this ongoing nature of discovery. It suggests that the questions we can't answer today, the mysteries that seem impenetrable from our current perspective, may yield to future insights we can't yet imagine. The same curiosity and careful observation that revealed the true age of rocks and the movement of continents continues to operate in our time, opening new windows into the nature of reality. When we apply this perspective to our personal development, it transforms how we think about the limitations we encounter in our own understanding. The skills we struggle to master, the relationships we find challenging, the goals that seem beyond our reach, all exist within a context of gradual development that operates according to principles similar to those that govern scientific progress. Small insights accumulate over time. Patient practice leads to breakthrough moments that seemed impossible from earlier perspectives. The story of how we learn to read the deep history written in rock layers offers a beautiful metaphor for understanding the layers of meaning that accumulate in our own experience. Just as geologists learn to interpret the record of ancient environments preserved in sedimentary formations, we can develop the ability to read the patterns in our own lives that reveal important truths about our development and direction. The skills of observation and interpretation that allow scientists to reconstruct vanished ecosystems from fossil evidence can guide us in making sense of our own past experiences. The setbacks that seemed like failures at the time may reveal themselves as necessary preparation for later opportunities. The relationships that ended painfully might have taught us essential lessons about what we truly value in human connection. The career paths that didn't work out may have developed capabilities we needed for work we couldn't have imagined at the time. This archaeological approach to personal reflection requires the same patience and careful attention that characterizes good scientific investigation. The meaning of past events often becomes clear only when viewed from a distance, when we can see how individual experiences contributed to larger patterns of growth and development. The conclusions we draw about our lives need to be held lightly, subject to revision as new evidence emerges and our perspective continues to evolve. Bryson's account of the development of evolutionary theory illustrates how revolutionary ideas often meet initial resistance, even from thoughtful people who might be expected to welcome new insights. Darwin spent decades gathering evidence for his theory, anticipating the controversy it would create, and working to address potential objections before publication. Even then, the idea that all life forms shared common ancestry challenged assumptions so fundamental that many people found it difficult to accept. This pattern of resistance to paradigm-shifting ideas appears throughout the history of human thought. The recognition that Earth was not the centre of the universe, that continents moved across the planet's surface, that matter and energy were interchangeable, all required people to abandon comfortable certainties in favour of more complex but ultimately more accurate understandings of reality. And so we reach the end of our gentle journey through Bryson's magnificent exploration of everything that is and was and might yet be. Tonight, you've travelled from the smallest proton to the vastest galaxy, from the first stirrings of life to the emergence of consciousness capable of contemplating its own existence. You've seen how the calcium in your bones remembers ancient stars, how the oxygen you breathe carries the memory of early organisms learning to harness sunlight, how your very thoughts represent matter's most extraordinary achievement. As sleep approaches, let yourself rest in this profound understanding. You're not a stranger in the universe, but an intimate part of its unfolding story. Every breath connects you to cycles billions of years old. Every heartbeat echoes rhythms established in the earlier cells. Your consciousness represents the cosmos awakening to its own beauty and mystery, if only for this brief, precious moment. The questions that Bryson poses with such gentle wonder will continue to unfold long after tonight's dreams fade. Through beings like you who pause to contemplate the extraordinary nature of ordinary existence, the universe continues its patient work of understanding itself. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities for discovery, but tonight you can drift peacefully into sleep, cradled by forces that have been billions of years in the making, knowing that you carry within yourself the entire history of everything that ever was. Sweet dreams, fellow Stardust. Rest well in the knowledge that you're held by something immeasurably vast, ancient, and beautiful.